Hi guys, for this video you'll need your cup of tea and some snacks if you want it, but I don't have any snacks. I only have my cup of tea today because it's only 1:30. But today we are going to be talking about my experience working in retail, specifically food retail, with cerebral palsy and a learning disability for a year. Yes, it's been a year. Doesn't feel like a year, but it's been a year. So let's start talking about it. I've been in food retail for a year now, and from the beginning to now being over a year, it hasn't been smooth sailing. It's definitely been a struggle, a challenge for my learning disability specifically. I didn't really struggle with my learning disability. The point of a learning disability is it takes longer than others. You need to learn in a different way than other people do. Day to day growing up, yes, my learning disability was a challenge compared to other kids without a learning disability. But what I'm saying is, starting this food retail job brought out the most challenging side of my learning disability. I really struggled, but let's talk about that from the beginning. Now, I wish I could just jump to the past and talk to 1 year ago Robin starting this job, not knowing what to expect, kind of nervous of what to expect, and honestly didn't expect her learning disability to be so affected. I was going into that more thinking there's heavier stuff than I would normally pick up. How I got this job was a surprise interview, and when I say surprise interview, I genuinely mean a surprise interview. I had some people help me find some jobs because as a disabled person, it is hard to find a job. So these people would just generally talk to these companies, trying to promote me pretty much, but in a nice way, because the minute someone says they've got a learning disability, they've got cerebral palsy, most employers do shut you down straight away. So these types of people just help promoting me in a nice way, being like, she does have cerebral palsy, she does have this, but she's driven, she's determined, she's everything. It was literally saying what I would want to say. So one day I came into this place to tell them about an experience that I experienced a week prior from getting this job, and that was I went to a job centre that they recommended to me. So I went there, saw what there is. There wasn't much. It was mainly about the army, about the police, about fire, engine people. I don't know what you call them now, because you used to call them firemen, but I don't think that's the right term anymore. But there was all of like the active stuff, and I can't really do that. The only job that was available was B&M. So we got a leaflet. We went to my local B&M, and I went to a lady and I said, hi, can I hand in my CV? And she replied with, yeah, that's fine. And then I replied back. A normal person would be like, okay, there you go. But I obviously wanted to talk to the manager about my situation, because I find talking to them is better than saying it in the interview, because you're all of a sudden most likely going to be shot down. And this is what that lady did. So I said, can I speak to the manager? I have cerebral palsy. And the minute I said I had cerebral palsy, she said, oh, there's a lot of lifting involved. You won't be able to lift it. Blah, blah, blah. This was in front of my mum as well, so she was shocked. So it was one of those, oh, okay. I didn't know what to reply with, because I've never experienced it face to face. I always knew people were like this, but I've never had it directly to my face. Got told, got shut down. No, you can't do this, even though she didn't even ask me. I went in to talk to the job people to explain the situation, and let's just say they were not happy, and they actually went out of the room and went to the actual employer who was doing the interview for this job I'm in now, and they came back 5 minutes later being like, okay, Robin, come on. I didn't expect a thing. I didn't know what was going on. I was like, okay, he's not impressed. He's not happy. We went into a room and the guy was there, and he was like, are you okay to have an interview right now? I'm like, yeah. And I guess they liked it, because a year on, here I am. But from that day on, I did not expect to struggle so much with my learning disability, but I'm kind of glad I did. Now I will import the TikTok that I'm talking about, the now. Hi guys, I feel like I've not gave you an update on job situation at all, but if you did not know, I've got a brand new job and it's been exactly a week now since I started, and I'm just going to talk about it. Literally just going to talk about it. So the first week my legs were a bit tired just because I'm not used to standing or walking. It's not even walking, it's more standing around for quite a while, for hours on, well, about like 4 or more hours. And my feet were hurting because of my cerebral palsy. I've got left-sided hemiplegia. They were hurting more than an average person. That's an able-bodied person, because obviously if you're standing on your feet for quite a while, they will hurt. But my feet hurt quicker. Now, I'm not making this a competition. It's just my disability. Like, that's just my cerebral palsy. Like, I can stand and walk around for hours if I push myself, but near the end it's gonna hurt. But relating to that, because of that, I bought some new shoes and they were Skechers, and I will show them and go more in detail in a second vlog, like a second chatty TikTok video. But they were the best decision of my life because I wore them today at work and they helped my legs. Like, obviously my legs are still gonna hurt a bit because I've got cerebral palsy, but they do not hurt as compared to last week. Like, my legs felt like I was walking on the ground with no shoes on last week because how flat my shoes were before. But I want to talk about today's situation as well. So all last week was all good, and then today I've got a learning disability, so processing and taking in information can take me longer, or how some people would like to say is I take slower. I'm slower at taking in information. Now, you can think of that as a positive or a negative, but because of that, there were just some situations that I don't think I mucked up on. I also overthink, so I don't think that was helping. But I just want to talk about my experience, and like, this is my journey from working in retail with a learning disability and cerebral palsy, and I just had a bit of an overwhelming moment. We had a little cry near the end when I was out of the shop. Keep it professional. But if you want to ask me any questions about retail and working with a learning disability. So as you can see, I had a really tough first week. I cried more than once, but I'm now here today and I can definitely say I have not cried for quite a while over this job. That's a good thing. But also throughout the year, I have learned at a slower pace than my other co-workers. But that doesn't change the fact that I've done a 37-hour week. I've done a 16-hour shift. It's not recommended for someone with cerebral palsy, let me just say. But I did it. I'm never doing it again, but I've done it. I've went through so many milestones, being able to now do PayPoint on my own, Lotto on my own, the till on my own, and it's just simple things when you say, oh, I work in retail. The first thing you think is the till, but the job that I work in, we are pretty much a corner shop, and that includes doing PayPoint, so anything to do with gas, TV licenses, anything like that. Then you have the Lotto. The Lotto is easier than PayPoint, but it was still a struggle, specifically with Lotto Hot Pick, because they can ask you, can I have 1, 2, 3, 4, but that also means they want 3 lines, one with 2 on, one with 3 on, one with 4 on. I'm explaining it easy right now, but when I first started, that was a struggle because we were all new staff, and the old customers that were from the old store were still coming to this store because they're local. So they didn't expect someone like me who has cerebral palsy, a learning disability, to take so long. They were used to the old store, the old management, the old co-workers. And then I came along and was like, can you repeat that again, please? So I definitely annoyed some people, whether they liked it or not. I was at a different pace than other co-workers were, than the other in management. But they all finally have learned that I am just who I am. I go at my own speed. By the beginning, it was proper like, can I have 3, 4, 5? And I'm like, oh, well, is that 3 lines, 2 lines? It was like really fast in my brain. I was coming home with, all I could say is information headaches, because it was technically like that. I was taking in so much information for my learning disability brain to handle that. I was actually getting headaches from how much information I was taking in. Now, the one good thing about that is, yes, I did have headaches at the beginning, but now I know I can take in so much more information than I did before, and I don't have them headaches anymore. So that's the main thing. But that's one thing with a learning disability that I didn't realise that I would experience, is generally having headache from taking in so much information that I have a headache from it, because my brain is going into overdrive, kind of. Like, it's just using so much energy to remember the things that I'm taking in, day out. And obviously throughout the weeks it got easier and easier. But I'm not sitting here and telling you there was not days that I was like, I really don't know if this is the job for me. Taking in the information is a struggle. There was days that I thought, I can't do this. Like, I genuinely was thinking to quit, because my brain couldn't take it. But again, here I am 1 year and a couple of months later, well, nearly 1 month later, I'm still at the job. Hopefully a year on, I hopefully will be. But sunshine and rainbows, because it definitely wasn't. It was a struggle, and it wasn't a struggle in a way that I thought it was gonna be. I thought my cerebral palsy was gonna get affected. And don't get me wrong, I still get muscle pain, and I probably can last longer without a muscle pain on a shift than I did at the beginning. In a 8-hour shift, I would say between the 5-hour mark, that's when my muscle pain starts to begin. Now, I've got used to just dealing with it, because it's not to the point that it's agony. It's more when I get home, that's when relaxing begins, and the actual pain that my body has been experiencing at work is finally coming out. So if you have cerebral palsy, you probably already know this, but when we relax, our body can't relax with us. So I can be on my iPad watching YouTube, relaxing with a blanket, probably not in this weather, but when it comes into the winter months, I can relax with a blanket, onesie, hoodie. But that's when the muscle pains start to be more painful, because I'm trying to relax and my muscles can't relax. I've got told that by doctors before, that because of my cerebral palsy, my muscles don't naturally relax. So that is a downer on this situation, but I knew I was always going to have that, because it's just a thing you have to deal with. If you want to be able to work with cerebral palsy, especially in retail, it's kind of a thing that you need to deal with. But on to the positives. I have went through in and out of them, from the bad to the good, but let's talk about the good. So the first thing that happened throughout the year that I found is I can move my thumb more. Now, it's probably not as good as it was at the beginning, because I've not been wearing my hand strap that much, but I definitely think I have strengthened my left side not more than my right, but like, I have strengthened it since before I started the job. It has strengthened, so that's a good thing. And I can definitely lift more, because I remember at the beginning trying to lift bottles that are like the big bottle, family size bottles that you get. There's like 6 in a pack, and trying to lift them into a trolley and then lifting it throughout the shop floor and then taking them apart. It's a lot of heavy lifting, and I'm lucky enough that I've got co-workers that understand that some things I cannot carry, some things I may need help with, and pretty much the main thing is to not damage my hand, because the one thing they know is I don't have much feeling in this hand, so I will feel it if I hurt it, but not as much as if I hurt my hand in my right hand. So I just need to be careful on what I can carry. I can definitely carry more than I used to be able to before doing this job. Another thing is relating to my learning disability. Obviously from the beginning, having headaches from taking in so much information, I can now kind of teach new co-workers because I know the way, and also I find I can teach them in a different type of way, because I normally say, okay, there's, for example, on the lotto, there is buttons at the top that are easier to just print out, but I find to go on the lotto and then press 2 tickets on one slip, or if they want 2 separate tickets on 2 separate slips, you would press 1 ticket and then another ticket. I find it easier that way, but some people find it easier doing it just at the top. So I teach them that way of, this is how I do it, but you can do it like this. So I find that's a positive as well, that I can actually carry on learning, even though the manager does the main part of like the till and that. There needs to be someone on shop floor who's a team member who can help the other team member to make sure that they're doing it correctly. Obviously, if there's a massive muck up, we get a team leader, but for simple teaching things, I can now do it. And when I started doing that with some of the new staff, because we get people leaving and coming all the time throughout the year, so when I started doing that, I was actually quite proud of myself, and I genuinely went to the store manager one day. I was like, I just taught blah 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 this. I'm like, I'm proud of it. I didn't say I'm proud of myself, but I was like, you could tell I was happy. The main point of this 1 year update is pretty much, there has been struggles throughout the year. There has been lows, there has been ups, but at the end of the day, I've learned so much, and with my learning disability and with my cerebral palsy, I'm going to continue to learn things, find ways around doing things, especially when the job that I am in is with a new company. We are always going to be growing and growing and growing, and with that, I'm going to be always learning and learning and learning. So hopefully in the next 6 months, there will be more updates and more good things happening. I first of all need to start wearing my hand strap again and my foot splint, but also with my foot splint, I found if I was wearing it too often throughout my work day, my hips would hurt, and that one thing that has changed. At the beginning, my hips would hurt for how long I was standing, but now they don't. But I hope you enjoyed this catch up with me and seeing the good, the bad and the positive of working in food retail for 1 year, and hopefully we can carry on and they will keep me on for another 6 months, 2 years, 3 years, I don't know. Obviously I want to just keep on growing and growing with the company and with myself, with my learning disability, with my cerebral palsy, but how far that will take me, you never know. Everyone does get to the point of they've learned everything that they can, and that's not a bad thing. But I feel like with my cerebral palsy and learning disability, I will always be finding ways of doing things different to other people and learning in different ways. But I hope you enjoyed this update, and I'll see you in 6 months with a new 1 year and 6 months update. That's crazy. But I obviously will be back with a brand new vlog or video soon. Bye guys.